Republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us also observe a minute's silence for all those who are suffering, all those who have died with COVID, members of our community who have suffered and passed on, and all those who are having a hard time. We pray for you, and we wish you speedy recovery, and that may the Almighty help you to progress and to have a healthy and happy life. So let's observe a minute's silence also for those like Tyrone Nichols and all those who have passed away, the many dharmacharis of the Hindu society, since this is a Diwali event, like Pandit Ramlal, Ravi Doobay, Nazir, and Chandrika Prasad, and so many others who have built our community and helped it and have carried our dharma. And to the extent it has now become recognized that we are now asking for Diwali holiday for the whole of New York City. So let's observe a minute's silence for that. Good, thank you. We all want to start with a prayer from one of our Hindu leaders, Pandit Doobay, Ravi Doobay, from the Maha Lakshmi Mandir. We are very grateful for him to come. We know Sun is a very busy day for everyone, including our priests, and we're grateful to him for coming here. So let's have a prayer from the respected Pandit.
Om Namaste Stu Mahamaye Sri Pite Surpujate Shankachakra Garahaste Maha Lakshmi Namostate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.
Good, so let's start beating. Brothers and sisters, you know, today, you all can sit. Today is the event, first of all, the first aspect of this meeting here. And I'm as district leader representing you, me to be a voice and to champion your issues. And Diwali is one of the main issues, Diwali being a holiday for our kids. And I've had this symbolic diya, the light over darkness. But the greatest of Diwali is that it has a bigger message for everyone in America and the world. There are over 1 billion Hindus worldwide living there. That's a substantial number. And also we have Hinduism as one of the great religions and one of the oldest. And the purpose of Diwali, that stems from our Hindu culture and our heritage, is that it is a triumph of good over evil, light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, and triumph over defeat. And the very symbol of Diwali is necessary in New York City and across the world. It's as simple as that. So therefore, when we advocate for Diwali, it is more than just Hindus. It is everyone across the globe. Everyone who believes in God. Everyone who believes in good over evil and in light over darkness. And that is why Diwali is such an important thing for us today. But I want to get to the point of what's been happening and giving you an update of why Diwali has become such a burning issue. You know, we had this holiday that was passed or supposed to be passed by the mayor. That's where it starts. And I have here some of the, just give it to me, one by one, so we just do it. So let me start from the beginning. I put all these recent articles on Diwali. It has made the headlines that it was going to be a holiday. This is my article here on China Light in the Daily News, and they published it. Now, Daily News, and I published it as Albert Baldeo, State Assembly District Leader. They don't publish articles unless they are the truth or unless they have content. And in the mass of other articles you'll see here in South Richmond, I'm writing as an elected district leader with a large South Asian population. I make this appeal on behalf of the more than 300,000 Hindu, Sikh, Jain, and Buddhist families living in New York City to Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar and Mayor Adams, who have repeatedly made unreserved Diwali holiday promises as major platform issues prior to being elected. They make and implement the school chancellor's regulation to make Diwali holiday, just as has been done, just as former Mayor Bidessie did, to create the Eid and Lunar New Year holidays. Most disappointingly, Assemblymember Jennifer Rajkumar betrayed her constituents and collaborated on a flatulent promise that was nothing more than a media circus. She knows that this bill has been pending for years in Albany without a necessary state Senate sponsor, didn't make it out of committee, and has gone nowhere. Yet she recycles her deceitful excuse that our time has come. Those are her words. This is a typical bait and switch con game we must denounce, and the kind of darkness Diwali shines a light on. Now that was published there, then you have all these other articles here. Actually, this is the one where I advocated and tried to shine a light. Tried to shine a light like a diya, that is symbolic of Diwali, on what went on here. So let's start it with this one, and then if you go to YouTube, you will see my arguments there, and other people too who have gone and talked about Diwali. Why should we even hold? This is me testifying with a group of others, Vijay Ramjitan, all the community leaders here at City Hall. That is where we should be going, to City Hall. And actually the chair of the committee, Councilman Traeger, said the mayor can pass it tomorrow if he wants to with the chances regulation. So that was very clear. And it's there right in that YouTube. That is a key, and that is a solution to this entire problem. So the purpose of this meeting here today is to refocus our efforts, to bring us back to a place where we can achieve this. Not to jump in buses and go to Albany and spend all day there making noise and disturbing the people there. Because law doesn't pass by noise. Law passes by legislation. And you have to get it passed. And the city council is the one where it can pass. So, I also have another article in the Caribbean Life. Stop exploiting and duping us about proposed Diwali holiday here, and you can read it here on in the Caribbean Life. Also here in the India Panorama. The Indian Panorama is the largest Indian newspaper in America. And they published my article, an open appeal to Jennifer Rajkumar B. Adams with our children and so on there, we advocating at civils that we must have Diwali. And I urge you to read it because it says the same thing that how we do it there. This is advocacy. And here it comes again. And mayor knows he can make Diwali holiday by executive order. So this is quite clear, but that's the only pushback we had. And now we have all of these other things here. All of these here, starting from Priyanka Chopra. Priyanka Chopra cried tears of joy that Diwali is a holiday now, misled. And she actually said, after all these years, my teenage self living in Queens is crying tears of joy. And she has Jennifer Rajkumar here and the mayor. She celebrated it, but she was duped. She was conned. She was misled. And it came to light, and she's very upset. Now, the Hill says they want to become a holiday. Then
Yes, I call it Bacadina meeting.
Talking the same thing. And then you have the Washington Examiner. These are all leading press being misled and duped to say that. You got a Tribune here. You've got the, this is CNN, oh, News 18. Then you have here the News Plus World. Then you have another one here, Diwali Public Holiday in New York 2023. All these are major clippings from the Hindu News, worldwide edition. Then you have the Tribune here, Diwali Public School Holiday in New York starting 2023. That's this year. New York City schools will officially close to Diwali. This is in timeout. Then you have Pix 11, Channel News 11. Diwali will be New York City school holiday next year. This is a lot of press here, but it gets worse. It gets worse, and thank you, Rasat. It comes here now from Axios.com. This is the mayor here with a broad smile, promising and saying that Diwali has been passed. Then you have the Hill again here. Then you have CNN. CNN is not an easy place to trick. CNN is a leading news outlet. And they're well known, as you know. And yet they said Diwali will public school holiday in New York starting in 2023. Mayor's face here as a champion of Diwali. And Rajkumar there also. And then you have BK Reader, that's affiliated to the New York Times, I believe. And they're saying the same thing. Rajkumar made them designate Diwali as a school holiday in New York City. And then we come back to the American Bazaar, Diwali to be public school holiday. Then we come to another one here. I'm showing you the length and breadth of this. I Talk, another prominent place, media outlet. I'm showing you the length and breadth of what has happened here, brothers and sisters. Daily News. Just showing CNN. Daily News is saying Diwali, Hindu Festival of the Lights, will become a New York school holiday in 2023. Mayor Adams. Diwali to become recognized holiday in New York school in 2023. Another one here. This is from another leading newspaper and media outlet. Then you have the other part here with him, and he's actually greeting us in the Hindu traditional fashion, the Namaste. But yet, this is so glaring and disturbing that it's very hypocritical and it says a lot. ABC News, that's not a major mainstream outlet. ABC News, Diwali be honored, CBS News, and this is a picture with Adams, the Chancellor, Banks, and Ms. Rajkumar with two of her kids being used as photo ops to be designated in that photo. So this brings us to the question, brothers and sisters, and those who could not make it today, I want you to understand this. We have had several bills piloted in the New York State Senate. And some of these bills are very inconsistent. But the problem is that Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar, she sponsors a bill in October 22nd last year that didn't go and didn't make it out of committee, and it died. Then she came back and sponsored one just recently, a few days ago, and she's saying in this bill to allow the designation of Diwali as a school holiday in New York City. So right there, you have a jurisdictional defect in this bill. It's like you go to landlord and tenant court, but you end up in a city claims court, which is a totally different court, to prove your case. They will throw it out. Because Albany will say, listen, New York State is run by its own body, its own legislative body. Why do you come to us? We can't make legislation for New York City. We make legislation for New York State. And as far as we're aware, you don't have the amount of people, you have to have qualifying 1 million people, 7.5%, and then the data doesn't show that we are registered as Hindus. So it's easy for them to say you just don't have the numbers, as de Blasio told us previously. But he was honest in doing that, but he also used the numbers against us disingenuously. So all these mayors are doing the same thing to us, using this qualifying data to say, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have the numbers for us to pass this thing. As your numbers grow, how much grow when we got 1 million people all over the world when we have over 500? And where Rajkumar let us down again is that she said over 200,000 Hindu, Sikh, Jain, and Buddhist folks living here. But the fact of the matter is that the census actually shows we have over 320,000. So when you go like with a weak case and you say there's only 200,000 of us, but whereas in truth and in fact we have 500,000 because a lot of them are not registered, they're undocumented, and they're scared to come out of the shadows, but they are practicing Hindus and sympathetic Diwali holiday folks. You are actually undermining your own case. It shows that you don't really care. You're just doing this to be a dog and pony show. You're doing this for photo op. Because how can a lawyer go to a court without the proper facts? You go with the facts and say there's 500,000 of us. And you know what? We are Americans. We are U.S. citizens and taxpayers. You owe us. We belong to this country. We're patriots. Our children live and die for America. Many of them are serving in the military more than your kids. And we pay more taxes than you folks. So don't deny us our right. Stop this systematic exploitation and systemic deprivation that you've practiced over us. Our stuff is very, very weak. Begging people and corralling them and running around like sheep in Albany. That is not how this thing is done. This must have the proper language to satisfy those 150 state assembly members and the 63 state senators. When you're finished with them, they must have no doubt in their minds that this is a substantial mass of folks in New York City and people we must respect and whose time has indeed come. Not in rhetoric, but in reality. So that is the problem we have. Now, in mentioning this, she doesn't even include Eid al-Adha. She just mentioned a few holidays coming into it. And then she seeks to take away a holiday from Brooklyn and Queens. This is another jurisdictional defect. This is a problem. How can you take away from somebody? They haven't yet risen to defend their holiday, this anniversary day. But you bet civil rights groups are going to come and say, we can't allow this. You can't take from one group and give to another. And you take from a Brooklyn Queens group to give the whole of New York City. Do you see what I'm saying? You're using 2/5 instead of 5/5. You're leaving on Staten Island, you're leaving out the Bronx, you're leaving Manhattan. You want us to take all that affects Brooklyn and Queens. So what, you're going to give Diwali only to Brooklyn and Queens? So this is another problem with this bill. And then after passage of this bill, the New York City Department of Education will be free to designate Diwali as a public school holiday. Will be free. They have given a commitment, and she must put it in the bill, that the mayor and his chancellor have committed. As a matter of fact, they have over 200 press releases where they actually prematurely declared it if you want to save them. We actually believe, as I spoke to several editors on this issue, they don't want to publish this word. But I said, Albert, we know that this is disingenuous. The New York Times, the Queen's Eagle, several newspapers are coming down and the point they're not fools. This was a trick played on the community. This was a con. This is disingenuous. They may not want to come out and write it because, they probably don't want to get, it's the truth, they won't get any lawsuit, but I guess they feel, well, probably, the political repercussions can affect them. And that's the kind of problem we have, where when we don't stand up for ourselves, don't expect other people to stand up for you. So that is the problem we have with this Diwali holiday. And she also says that this bill, as drafted, leaves out Hindus from Suriname, Jamaica, Malaysia, Mauritius, Fiji, and Singapore. She only put in Trinidad and Myanmar. India is the first name, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, Myanmar, Bhutan. Then there's even a footnote, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Sri Lanka. We are a mass, this is Little Guyana, she should have used that. That they are the major population in what has now been designated Little Guyana and Little India by the city. And you only get a designation when you have the numbers. So this bill does not do justice to us. And you got to get in excess of 1 million people. And it is a lot with transportation issues. And then there's some scratch outs on the bill. I don't know that's what, Brooklyn and Queens. So this whole bill is a mess. This is not going to go anywhere when I look at it legally and politically. It is all a sham. It is all a continuous scam. And this has happened. I'm addressing the mayor. And the mayor, you would see behind there, we have posters of the mayor. You could go and see right through that door. We have posters of the mayor. We supported him. We helped him to get elected. He had a very close race. He was running against someone who could have beaten him, Andrew Yang. And in order to tip him, we pushed him over the edge. So he owes this community. It's not like we're begging him a favor. We are not asking for money. We're asking for civil rights. And this is how you address the issues, brothers and sisters online. When you call, when you speak, you say that the mayor let us down. The mayor owes us. And this is not my first letdown from the mayor. 20 years ago, they stood outside there with Malcolm Smith and Gregory Meeks and all of them, Joe Crowley. That gentleman there, he was county organization before AOC, beat him and threw him out. They came to my office, asked me to support their Adabo for the state senate because they felt he was a city councilman and you didn't have the numbers. The same emasculation they put on us that has affected us politically and otherwise, and honorated me because of my color, my skin, and who I am, my immigrant background, and felt I couldn't beat Maltese. But I was the one who lost by a mere 800 votes against Maltese in a big 365 state senate seat. What did they do? They dug Adabo from the city council seat and they put him to run for senate. When Obama was running that year, that was our seat. We were entitled to that seat. You'd never do a candidate that. But the Democratic Party, this big tent that they talk about, actually did connive and they denied us that seat in 2006, which we had won and rightfully should have had the right to run. You don't take a candidate off the ballot with 49.9% of the votes, as I had. You don't ever do that. You don't do that in apartheid. You don't do that in pre-independence. You don't do it in Jim Crow days. But yet it was done to me, and that is why I'm still standing here with the power of the Almighty to continue to fight. And they didn't finish that. The next year, Seminario had some corruption case, and he was booted out. And again, this gentleman came out, if I can call him a gentleman, Joe Crowley. He's no longer a congressman. Joe Crowley, he also got his cousin, Elizabeth Crowley, to use Mike Miller as a stakeholder there, as what you would call a placeholder to keep the seat, because she was running in a district where she could have lost against Agdebeni. So what was the fallback? If you lose here, sis or cuz, you're going to get this. But you got a problem. We got to get rid of Baldeo. You can't get Baldeo. So what we're going to do with Albert Baldeo is kick him off the ballot. And we're going to hold a special election, which they did. And that is how Mike Miller, I think they had to build a special elevator for him in Albany. Mike Miller actually was able to get a seat because in a special election, the county or the party ordains the candidate. And that brings me to this other gentleman there, legally blind David Patterson. David Patterson himself told me, Albert, there will be no special election. This is after we had supported his campaign and made him happy and so forth. His eyes lit up, and like typical politicians, when you support them, he was the first sitting governor that came to Richmond Hill to see who this Albert Baldeo is, who are these Indian people. He saw us, and he loved us because we treated him with dignity. We saw the numbers, and we showed them it. And we had a big meeting at Villarusso. He now went ahead and told me, no, you're going to have, all of you can run. There were 5 Indo-Karen candidates. All of you can run. I was the leading one. There was no doubt I would have won that seat. Because it was part of the state senate I made my name in. And they also then took it out and we didn't get that seat. Because he designated, that same man, Patterson, he designated Mike Miller to be the special person with Crowley. That's how this thing works. These people at the levels come together to denigrate and to pressure those underneath like us. And that is what has been happening right through. So I know this game. I've been accustomed to this game. They even tried to get rid of me. Said, well, we didn't get rid of him then. What you gonna do now? Well, let's call somebody else and institute charges against him. We beat those two and we've come back stronger. So what you gonna do? You have now created a champion for the people who's not gonna back down from whosoever comes here and does this to us. That is my mission in life. To empower people here, to make sure we treat it equally, to make sure we treat it fairly, to make sure we have our rights, and to ensure that we have the dignity and respect that is our own, that we have worked for so hard. So, to follow our brothers and sisters, this bill, Ms. Rajkumar, Assemblywoman Rajkumar, told us to come up to Albany. A lot of our people went. They went in good faith. They understood that if we couldn't get, okay, October you fail or whatever mistake was made. As a matter of fact, when they spoke to me to beg me to go, they said, I said, why are you going to Albany? You got 100 new slip-ins saying Diwali is already holiday. Did you check? Yes, you know, but there's a little piece more. I said, a little piece more? I thought it was a done deal. So her staff and her people said, no, we need a little piece more to make this thing happen. Come on, you'll get a little piece up and out. I said, listen, let me tell you something. I'm not getting up there 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to waste my time. Unless I'm going to see the speaker, Carl Hastie, or Andre Stewart Cousins, or the Governor Hochul, who probably doesn't know a lot about Diwali. Let us educate her. If you're having a meeting with the governor, because you know what, after all this is done, if Kathy Hochul, the governor, doesn't know about Diwali to sign that bill will not be signed. Many bills have gone and died on the governor's desk. So you taking us in a wild goose chase. This is what you get, what you call in Guyana and Guyanese terminology, a basket for fetch water. She gave us the name sheet. And now somebody said, I think on your show yesterday, Minty Kilwan, she said that we should wipe our hands off the mayor. Big mistake. Never gonna happen. That is what he wants. Good. Oh, me? Check Rajkumar. Check all me. Diwali? Yeah, go up there. It's no longer with me. No, we can't do that. We have to go back to him. We have to go to him and let him know that you are the chief culprit in this. We won't say culprit, but I'm just telling you the force of which we have to go. That we have been denied and we have been unfairly treated by you, and you've actually contravened our religious and fundamental rights. This is something missing from Rajkumar's bill. She didn't even come in and say that, listen, this Diwali, the freedom of religious worship, bandit, is blessed and memorialized and has a foundation in the United States Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Any law that goes against that is void. Pro tanto void. So therefore, what are we doing? How come the New York State Constitution and the American Constitution, USA Constitution, states quite clearly that the freedom of religious worship shall be enshrined in this Constitution. I mean, you can have worship, you can have the right to practice Hinduism, and by extension of argument, by parity of reason, that also means that you can have your Diwali holiday, because that is a systemic institutional right to worship right there. That is what it means. But she didn't put that. She didn't put that this is a breach of the fundamental right of religious freedom and the state constitution. So that was another problem with this bill. And before I bring it to the floor for comments on this, of the learned folks who have found the time to come here today, I just wanted to mention a few other points for the benefit of our audience, our virtual audience. That is a major flaw in this bill. When you bring a bill like this, you have to bring it under the constitutional rights enshrined. The bill, as put forward by both herself and Joseph Adabo, who I mentioned to you was a beneficiary, stood there, begged me. There were tears in his eyes. Now when I see Joseph Adabo, I say, what happened? You don't even give us nothing for this community. You don't even send people to clean up the streets. You don't even call. We don't want your money, we want your voice. We put you in office. He lives in Howard Beach, and he doesn't care here. And he even runs for office in this district where he doesn't live. So the problem we have is that we have politicians who are coming together. And when I wrote the letter, then he co-sponsored the bill in the Senate. Then he put his name on the bill. I called him out and said, what are you doing? You've come here and you've become very, we've helped you to keep a job. You pushed me out then in 2008. Of course, a bridge and a school and a social service center and a health center's named after Dabo. So I understood why, and he was a sitting councilman. So when we did the poll, I couldn't beat him. But I would have beaten Maltese and gotten a seat for the first time in the Caribbean or South Asian person would have had that seat. However, I'm just showing you how these guys forget. And I think Rusat was talking about that earlier, how people forget, they use you, they trick you, and they come back and they expect you to go away in a corner. For example, people who have suffered injustices, they go in a corner and hide. They're ashamed. We Guyanese and Western people are ashamed of the problems we've had. Well, I've learned more. These issues that suppress us need to be brought out to the open. They need to be ventilated. You come to my office at 10611 Liberty Avenue, and we will ensure you have justice. That's where I'm speaking from. 10611 Liberty Avenue, Ozone Park, New York. When you're weak, when you feel worn out, when you feel intimidated, when you feel like you can't stand up anymore, come and talk to me. We will find a way to stand up for you and stand up bravely and forcefully. That is what I was elected to do unanimously by the people of this district twice as district leader. Forget the state senate where they robbed me there too and stole that seat from us. But I was elected first person in Assembly District 38, which, by the way, is half of Jennifer Achbar's district. So I do have standing there. That is more like Woodhaven and that part of this part here that she has. That is this part here, you see? This part was a district leader. And now I became a district leader here and in Richmond Hill. So, I have standing in here and here to challenge either of them, and they don't, and so forth. So I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm just telling you that my concern for you has put me at all levels of government in a very contentious situation. Politics is a very nasty thing. I was hurt before, I was burned, I came back, and yes, I've come back with renewed inspiration to fight, and to fight for us. So the mayor, first thing, we can't let him wash his hands of this issue. He got to go back now, and he got to go in the bus. He should be the first one to go in Albany and stand up at Rajkumar and talk about that Diwali holiday. And he was the first one when he came here 50 times and said, as soon as I'm elected, I will go over that same day and sign Diwali into law. He's now been in office over 2 years, and he has not yet done so. What do you want, to give a wheelbarrow to carry him? Sure, we'll carry him in a wheelbarrow if we have to. But the problem is that he could sign from his same desk, from his same bed, by proclamation. The mayor has the power to do this. So don't let's buy this thing about other people taking him Other people, typical of our Katis who sold our Indian parents down the river in India and brought them over and said, lost the cats, and taken the focus off of him. That is wrong. We shouldn't be doing that because we're selling our own people down. We are more of the problem when we sell our people down the river. So I already told you it's over 500,000 Indo-Americans who are taxpayers, in excess of 1 million all over the world. And why was Adabo left out of this? Adabo owes this community. State Senator Joseph Adabo got his state senate seat due to this community. And he has people right now that if he calls them to pick up his garbage or to wash his car, or even perhaps to clean his toilet, they would run and go. And you know who are some of those people we're talking about. Perhaps in return they may get a parking ticket, think to park in where they want, something personal. Or when they're drunk, they probably get a police car to show, you know, I know this senator, blah, 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 and don't arrest me. Perhaps that is a benefit, a personal benefit. But you can't take personal benefits and sell to your own people down the river. That was what happened in India. That's a nasty piece of our history we have to overcome. It can be described in no other way. And I told you our kids were used as photo ops, which is like you got a kid stand up there and said, yes, Diwali be a holiday, and you have that pain and the disappointment in them. That is not right. So the bill is drafted is doomed to failure. And we need more universal messages of good over evil. All of our mandis have got to be involved. All of our masjids, all of our people here have got to be involved. All of us have our stakeholders. All of us have something to do with this. A major stake. And Diwali is for all of us because the message is the same in Christianity, in Judaism, in Muslim terms, in every way, that triumph of good over evil. It's a universal message. So don't run and do that and get that done. Now another thing that's been happening I want to address is that in our community, we tend to run against each other, which is dividing our votes. But you have city council, state senate, and state assembly seats, or even mayor, or senator, or state senate, or U.S. senator, if you want to run. But don't run against each other. We had that problem in 2004, when 3 of us ran. I was the first one to declare that Dan Paul and Ryan came in, Dr. Dan Paul and Ryan, and Dr. Ravi Doobay. And they divided our votes, so we were not able to get a city council seat, and we lost. However, when they added up the votes of those 2 gentlemen, those 2 candidates, they came up to 1/3 of my votes. So I'm just showing you how they corralled around me and then run for assembly the next year and senator the next year. We would have already had a seat at the table of government, apart from that state senate seat with Maltese that was stolen from me and given to Adabo. I'm just showing you why we have to be vigilant, or why you have to look at life like this. That if they came for Albert Baldeo, or they came for Martin Luther King, or they came for Cherry Jackson, or whosoever, there's nothing to say they can't come for you tomorrow. You too can become for, because how the laws are interpreted, how things are done, the oppression, the suppression. Our rights are whittled away every day if we don't stand up and fight. And I'm proud that in this room we have upstanding people, people who believe in the good over evil, people who will stand up for this community. And hence I would like to call Pandit Doobay from the Maha Lakshmi Mandir to stand and say a few words here and to talk about this issue being the Diwali. And before I go there though, let me just finish off this part with redistricting as I'm on the floor. The second issue I want to talk to you today is this. You see our district is divided in 4? You got Peace gone to Wepring, Little Guyana sliced and diced. Peace gone to Ready for Rajkumar, which he's keeping to keep us out, these 2 people. Peace gone to Pfeffer, Stacey Pfeffer. And peace gone to Khalil Anderson, of proud Liberian heritage, Anderson. So this is a key here. This is where our people live. This is where we live. This is where we live. This is where we live. And you know what? The State Independent Redistricting Commission drew us a map to include this whole thing here, all 4. They did the numbers, they did it, they were Republicans and Democrats. And with, we have to be thankful for the Republicans also on that commission. I had it out with them, but I did the right thing. And I'm happy for that. And I'm going back to them and tell them, with my group, that we have to pass the same map, like that one. It's already approved, just stick to it. I'm going to make sure that we don't have people falling off the bus, or people with their own agenda. I don't want like anybody like a Romeo Hitler or anybody to turn up there to go and say, well, oh no, this map is no good. No, it's good for us and you can go live somewhere else. That's my simple, and I'll tell the commission in front of everybody on the public record that I speak as a district leader for this community. You know, the problem with some of these folks, for example, they exclude me from meetings, especially Romeo is, and that's a terrible thing. We cannot have that. I am the elected district leader. He should be inviting me. You know, we had that park tree. He didn't send me an invitation for that. Then he didn't send me an invitation for the hate crimes in my own district. So there will be some confrontation on that, because if you're elected, you've got to be respected. And if that is lacking, then we will call him out on that, because he's not elected to anything. Nobody's elected him. But apart from him, everybody else have now seen the vision. They have seen that this is right, and if they're standing with us on these two issues. So, excuse me, our mission here today is to bring back Diwali to the path that we can go to, and then we can take it from there. So, go ahead, Pandit Doobay.
Jesse to Ram, each and every one of you. It is apparent that this fight for Diwali is going to be a relentless fight. And I'm asking you not to give up on the prospect of having Diwali as a holiday. My job or task is not to shoot anyone down, but rather to work with the ones who are elected and to hold them accountable that if they make a promise, they should keep their promise. And we should definitely become much more engaging in our community so that we can be aware of what is taking place. And I ask you to get involved in wherever you are, in wherever district that you exist, so that they can know that we are there and we are going to be vigilant and relentless until we have achieved Diwali as a holiday. Second thing is, I ask you to engage with your leaders so that we can find out common things that are important, of value in our community, that transcends religion. As a collective, we have paid billions of dollars in taxes. But when we look into our community to see what has returned, what we have done, what we have built a community from a slum to become Little Guyana. It was not done with the politicians or the taxpayers' dollar. It was done with our own hard-earned money. And likewise, I'm asking you for us to collectively meet and to engage in a positive environment in which we can start to reap the benefit of taxes that have been paid into this community. We have paid so much in funds, but yet the return has been minute. It is not measurable. It is not even on a scale to be measured in terms of the dollar value that comes back to the benefit our community. And therefore, I ask you to reach out, to engage, and to be relentless in your pursuit. Do not look for one person to be your leader. Be the leader that you see is lacking in our community. Engage and do not give up. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you very much, Pandit. Well said. What the Pandit is talking about is that we have to be our own leaders. We have to come together, and we should not only be coming together when there's a social event or something that is that has joy and dance, but it also should be standing up for our civil rights, because like I said, if you don't stand up for each other, nobody's going to stand up for us. We're not going to get to the promised land. Some people move out and go to Long Island, some people move out and go to Florida. 2 people were to come to this meeting, gone to Long Island and Florida to buy a house. So my point is that we can't cut and run. We can't continue what happened to us in Guyana and Trinidad, pillar to post, right? We got to stay and fight. You know why? Because we've invested in this, we've paid taxes. Like he said, in 1977, the house was an Italian neighborhood. Run down. Check the New York Times on that, 1970 something. From then, Guyanese came here, and Caribbean folks and Sikhs and built it up to what it is. The major segment of being Guyanese, us, and who won this Diwali holiday, and also our fair district that showed a Little Guyana. How come you can name something Little Guyana and you can't honor it in a map, or honor its customs and traditions, or deprive a major section of any religious freedom to worship? This is the problem here, and that's our main point. I now introduce to Mr. Rusat Ramgopal. He's also a community leader and activist, and he will give his contribution.
Thank you for having me here today. Before I focus on the Diwali issue, which is what we're here to focus on, but what you said just now about the Italian-American community, that's something that we need to think about a lot, okay? Our Guyanese community, we're the second largest group in Queens, immigrant group in Queens, fifth largest in New York City. We don't have the representation that we deserve. The core issue is because our community doesn't unite. We have the crabs in a barrel mentality, and then we don't unite. We don't when the time comes for election, we don't get it across the finish line and get somebody into an elected office. If you look at the history of other groups, especially for example the Italian American community in New York, you could see how that community, much like our own, had their troubles. They had, for example, they were represented by the mafia for far too long. But then came a generation where you had people like Rudy Giuliani, Mario Cuomo, who cleaned up the reputation of that community and made sure that they were represented on the map. And there's going to come a time for this Guyanese community where the Guyanese Americans, the children of the immigrants who came here and worked so hard to make sure we could have what we have today, we as Guyanese Americans now need to do what the Italian Americans and other groups did before. We need to do in this generation what, for example, Rudy Giuliani and Mario Cuomo did for that Italian American generation back then in the 80s. So when you said about the Italian Americans, that's something that comes to mind, and I'm sure a lot of people could relate to that and think back about, everybody watched what they did. That was an incredible thing to change the whole image of the Italian American community. Now I want to focus specifically on the Diwali issue. This is what we're here about today, and we have to be focused on this issue in particular because it is such a sign of disrespect to this community, how we've been misled on this issue. I want to play back for everyone a clip where I interviewed Mayor Eric Adams in spring of 2021 when they were running for the Democratic primary to be mayor of New York. This is before he was even the Democratic nominee. This is when he was third place in the polls behind Andrew Yang, behind Scott Stringer. And he committed that he would make Diwali a public school holiday. And this was the first time that I know of that he did this, and you can check back, this is spring 2021. So, there's the cameras.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adams. So, you talked about the list of things Guyanese Americans and our community leaders look for. One thing that has been on the list over the years, and was a topic in the de Blasio administration, is the issue of public school holidays and whether or not Hindu holidays such as Holi or Diwali would eventually get that recognition as public school holidays. Under the de Blasio administration, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, as well as the Lunar New Year, were made into public school holidays. Now, many of the Hindu American community, be it the West Indian or South Asian community, voiced their desire for a Hindu holiday to eventually be on that list. Would a Mayor Eric Adams listen to that concern and consider making one of those holidays a public school holiday? It would be a historic move and a lot to the people of this community.
The first week of January, I'm starting into the Diwali holiday. It's so important that we can find the days.
So the train's passing, so I hope you heard the last part. Mayor Adams said very clearly in his own voice that if he liked the first week of January, he would sign into law the Diwali public school holiday, that we can find the days. Whereas de Blasio said very clearly, I'm not doing it, logistical reasons, I'm not doing it. Mayor Adams, in his campaign, lied to this community. He said, I will get it done. And he didn't get it done. First week of January, he wasn't talking January 2023, he was talking January 2022. He was inaugurated January 1st, 2022, Times Square, New Year's Eve, everybody saw it. First week of January 2022. A whole year has come and gone. He never did it. He never got it done. And our community needs to realize, if those in elected office, such as Mayor Adams, representing this political establishment, are going to continue to lie to you about these issues, they don't truly represent your interests. They're taking you for granted. What's worse than literally lying to your face? It's total disrespect. Then the mayor comes last October to the Diwali celebration on Liberty Avenue. After not fulfilling his promise, he comes. The mala is put around his neck and everything. He's introducing this community. People at that event, I was an MC at that event, and others at that event, were saying very clearly, this holiday needs to get done. The crowd was chanting at the mayor, make Diwali a holiday, make Diwali a holiday. The mayor felt the pressure in that moment, but the pressure was taken off of him because about a week later, he was able to have a press conference with Assemblywoman Rajkumar, where they make this announcement that was a stunt, it was a punt. Nothing got done out of it in terms of the, like truly making Diwali holiday, but they got all the headlines to mislead everyone. When you mislead a community like that, now you have to look at what did they get out of misleading this community. Why would you mislead a community on something so core, so essential to us as getting our holidays represented? And you know, some people have asked me, why do I care so much about this issue? I know what it's like to be a public school student. I was a New York City public school student from pre-K until grade 12. And I know what it's like to see your holidays not be represented, but other students' holidays are. I know what it's like to be a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and you're wondering, wait, so the Christians, their holidays are recognized, the Jews, their holidays are recognized, other groups over time, for example, the Muslims got their holidays recognized, Chinese Americans got their holiday recognized with Lunar Year, and you realize it's the fundamental issue of equality. Every other major group is getting their holiday recognized, and we aren't getting ours. And the core values of this country, Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. It's about equality at the end of the day. And when we don't get our holidays recognized, and then when we are promoting this issue, and then further misled by those in elected office, that is not just hurtful, it's frankly disgraceful. And, you know, what was done was terrible. And to mislead the community, I had that done in October of last year. People think, oh, we got our holiday, They didn't get it. The holiday wasn't done. Then you have this reintroduced, you know, to have people on a wild goose chase essentially. Tell them one thing in October, tell them another thing in January 2023 of, oh, now you have to go up and lobby for the holiday. It's really, this is something, even if and when the Diwali holidays eventually pass, this is something that should not be forgotten. Because you can see very clearly how they treat you. They think that, oh, these people are essentially so stupid, so foolish, that we could just tell them this. We can mislead them, and we're not going to face any repercussions. And I want people listening to just sit back and think about that for a second. You know, you can think about all these other issues, oh, well, our community's this or that or whatever. Think about how our community is being treated. This is, okay, another tree passing out, but yeah, this is frankly terrible how we've been treated. And, you know, a lot of people, we've been treated about
Yes. I think what you're talking about is like you're dangling Diwali in front of us, right?
Yeah, we have to look at the core issue. Why is our community able to be mistreated this way? It goes back to the issue of unity. When we don't show that we're united enough on one issue, focused enough on one issue to get things done, like other groups have been in the past, this is just going to keep happening again and again and again. It's like the old saying, if only once, shame on you, if only twice, shame on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or as George Bush tried to say, if only once, shame on you, if only twice, you can't get fooled again. but for some reason, we keep getting fooled again. And I think the core of it is our community, sometimes we focus a lot on community tensions, personalities, whatever, and then we get too divided. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, why would I come to this event today? And it's because this is about the issue. We need to focus on the issue of the Diwali holiday. We can't focus, I like this one, or I don't like this one, so I'm going to go to this event or not go to this event. Look, I'll put it this way. If you see somebody and you don't agree with them on 9 out of 10 things, you could either choose to not talk to them, or you could say, that 1 out of 10 thing that we agree on, let's make sure we get that done. And in this community, this 1 out of 10, this issue is so important. Again, it's the issue of equality, it's the issue of getting our religion recognized, putting us on the map. We need to put other things aside in order to make sure this issue is the priority. This issue can be got done. I mean, look, leaders in this community need to be able to show. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but the reason I'm here today, we need to be able to show that we're willing to work with any and everybody in order to prioritize the issues of the community and get things across the finish line. You look at Diwali, for years and years it's been dangled, hasn't been got done. If we don't keep the pressure on now, it's not going to be got done. And then you look at the other issues, redistricting. If they can mislead you on this, what else would they not mislead you on? If they mislead you on Diwali, they'll take you for granted on redistricting. They'll do it on other issues too. And I'll just think about unity. I mean, like right now, this office here, this is the Richmond Hill Democratic Club. right? You're the Democratic.
Right, the district leader,
Yeah,
right.
you're the Democratic district leader. I'm not a registered Democrat, I'm a registered Republican, but I'm here today because
Work
you
together.
should be willing to put other things aside in order to say this Diwali holiday is so important, we have to come together, unity, in order to get it done. Every community leader should be united together and get it done, because going back to the old saying, divide and conquer. How did the British control countries large as India for so long? How did they do it in British Guyana? How have certain groups held back other groups, even in the United States? It's a divide and conquer mentality. And if our community is so divided, we'll never get anything done. We'll still be tricked by others, and we cannot be conquered or left behind anymore. We have the numbers, we have the strength in numbers. If we were united, got together, and determined on this issue, there's no way that they could continue to deny us this holiday. There's no way they could continue to deny us representation when it comes to districting and elected offices. And we have to, frankly, get our act together. We don't have our act together as a community right now, and it's been far too long, the same story, the same mistakes over and over again. And we can't keep doing this. We have to, at some point, say enough is enough, put things aside, get this done. Because, as you were saying, school children use as props. This is not about,
Yes,
about some other issue like, you can picture, you could pick.
Child abuse.
You could pick your issue out of the book, any other political issue. This is an issue about school children having a holiday. You have to put the children first at the end of it. If you can't even get something done for the children, then what are you gonna get done? You gotta put the school children first. You have to get Diwali done, and we have to make sure that the next generation doesn't have to feel like how my generation felt going to school in the city, feeling that they are otherized, or they're not included or represented because their holiday is not, or their religion is not treated the same way every other religion is. I know what it's like to be a Hindu minority going to the New York City public schools. It wasn't a fun time in the 2000s, especially post 9/11. We know what type of discrimination or bias went on in that era. It wasn't a fun time, and we need to make sure that many students, for example, didn't even know what a Hindu was. You put Diwali on a list of public school holidays, everybody's going to know what a Hindu is, and everybody's going to make sure that they respect Hindus. And I don't want any school child to be disrespected in that way that I know I felt, I know many others felt. And it's because of that I don't want to see that happen again. I don't want to see another generation treated that way. I want to make sure I, in my capacity, do whatever I can to advocate for this issue. I've been prioritizing this issue for a while. You can see I was the one who asked then mayoral candidate Eric Adams that question, and I will continue to keep asking the question of this issue for as long as it takes.
We thank you for that, because he then ratcheted it up from, in the same week, I'm gonna go over and sign it.
Yeah,
And he told us now, the very same moment, he said he's gonna go and sign this. So the message that Mr. Ramgopal is bringing here is a very deep and profound one. And of course, you in the audience there, you must understand this. He's saying whether we're Republican, Independent, and we're not even citizens yet, even if we're undocumented. Or if we are from Working Families Party or Independent or Conservative Party, we unite on the Diwali, because that's the issue that we have to confront. That is what we have to overcome.
Yeah.
And that is what you all have to join issue with. But I want to give you a little follow-up now on this con game that happened on. You're going to do the resolution.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so Mayor Adams, he said on that show to me, he repeated it elsewhere, he repeated it many times. You have the instance with him and Ms. Rajkumar, and I would say in the same way that, we say, okay, well, it was hurtful when de Blasio said, no, I'm not going to do it. But at least in a way, it was better for de Blasio to be straightforward and say, no, I'm not going to do it, rather than Adams saying, I'm going to do it and then never do it. It's also hurtful that, okay, Mayor Adams is elected mayor for the city. He is an African American. The Assemblywoman Jennifer Ashmore is an Indian American. She knows what it means to this community. She's elected to represent this area of Queens. She knows what it means to this area. It is incredibly hurtful to be further deceived by one of your own, in addition to being deceived by those in power.
And she always says she's the first Hindu elected, she's the first South Asian, she always says that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
She has owned that now, and yet she's setting us, dumping us under the bus.
Yeah.
as you said quite clearly. But I want to rise to make this point, and here's the reason why. You know, what Rusat was saying is quite true, and I want to bring back the focus to where we move from here. I challenge all of you on the virtual as to whether you know what follow-up action she has taken after all that we did in Albany. Pandit was there. A lot of our respected pandits were there, and I understand it. We went up there because we wanted to support the issue. We wanted to keep it going. We wanted to keep the fight alive. So we went, and you know, the only thing we didn't do was to burn down the $1 million staircase, as they call it in Albany. But what did our representative do? I'm here for you to focus on this document. Can you see this document, sir?
Yes, I will put this one close.
Yes, put that one. She went back on January 25th, a few days after she told us about going up to Albany. How long was that? 2 days, 3 days?
No, Tuesday, last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, she went back, introduced by Rajkumar, and sponsored another bill. And on this bill, she is saying, and I read from the bill, and I quote, "The following cultural or religious holidays shall be school holidays for any schools or school districts where the Board of Education trusts to determine such schools and districts have a considerable portion of students who observe such days." Now it's a considerable group now, so that is something the judges or the legislators will say, but you're not quantifying how much. First you had 1 million people got to be in this district, and then the 7.5% if you have Hindus that you could prove to us, which we can't prove because the demographics don't say people don't register as Hindu or Christian or Red Democrat or Republican or South Asian or in the Caribbean. We don't know. They'll say in other religions how many are Muslim, how many are that. So she has put us into a wild goose chase here. But the chase gets wilder. She goes on to say who observes such days. She has Eid al-Fitr, which is already passed, Eid al-Adha, which is already passed, Diwali. But the problem here now, she lumps 3 other holidays: Tihar, Bandi Chor Divas, and Onam. So can any of you in this audience tell me, educate me a little bit, because I'm not that, in this area to understand these holidays. I mean, I looked at them, but they're not Diwali per se, or they can take away from Diwali. So you split yourself now into 4. Instead of asking for Diwali, you go back on the Rajkumar's name, and she sponsors this bill to say Tihar, Bandi Chor Divas, and Onam. So these other 3 holidays are designed to appease people, to pander to them, and to get sympathy and love from them at the expense of Diwali. All one ball at a time. Look at sports. You can only fight one fight at a time. How are you going to lump us all together with all this hate together now? This not cook-up rice. They're going to let cook-up rice in Albany. This got what's on the floor. What's your issue on the floor, the speaker will ask you. I rise to ask for this Diwali to be passed. You can rise and say Diwali, Tihar, and I have no disrespect for these other holidays and religions they stem from. I respect everyone, and we're all equal. But from the minute you put in Tihar, Bandi Chor Divas, and Onam, you're muddying the waters. You're stirring the pot. The speaker will say, hold on. Which one you want? You can only get one. You know what? Go back and respond to your bill. And then June gone, we come back. But it shows to me that Ms. Rajkumar and the mayor, that this is all with the greatest respect to them, this is a disingenuous game that is, as the press has told me that they see it as. You take us to 1 thing October, then you come back to a sponsor again, and now you give us this Tuesday another bill that conflicts with the bill that you asked us to go and lobby for. You're conflicting all the time. You don't seem to be serious. You're making fools out of us, and this is what is going to upset the whole apple cart, which is already torpedoed by your own actions. So what I'm saying to her is this, and I hope she's listening. I invited her to this meeting, and she didn't come. I know her personally, and I have her personal phone, and of course I'm using my Facebook. I would call it, and you'll see. Why are you not dealing with an elected district leader? Because I'm not following your agenda? The people elected me to represent their voice. They must respect that. And you got to bring your problems to me because it has to be channeled through a voice if you want help. That's what I'm here for. I don't get paid as a district leader. I'm not in this for money. I'm in this because I'm qualified to represent and my name is respected and feared amongst those who make decisions. Whether good, like, or bad, or whatever bad you'll say about me, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about how I can hold them accountable face to face and without backing down. That's who I am. And there's not many of us that I learned from that man, Cherry Jagan there. Cherry Jagan, that was when I was a prosecutor and a magistrate at 22. And this is where Cherry gave me a proclamation, Rosa Parks, and all these people. So I follow the teachings of these people, and I understand what it is to me to do that. Some people say, well, you know what, you have to be in the darkest valleys for you to see the highest mountains. And I've been there too. So my life is complete. I'm complete. I fear nothing now. They have made me stronger from what they tried to, the pressure they put on you, and how to try to get rid of you and bring fake charges and try to embarrass you. People come back and voted me in. What more do they want? But let me take the aspect away from you a little bit. Let's bring the whole community together. As Rusad said, as Pandit said, we got to bring Hindus, Muslims, Christians, everybody together. We have to bring them together. So, I will ask Mr. Ramgopal to read this resolution which we have put together.
I think it would be better coming from you.
Okay, I've done a resolution here that encompasses what you're going to send to the mayor. I don't want you to feel that we're just wasting time here, or we come here to talk and criticize or pull anybody down. We have shown you the basis where we are being conned and betrayed. And now we have to put the ship back. We got to turn around the ship and go back to where. So when somebody is sending you up to Albany, far away, we got to bring them back to the game where it's being played. If the cricket match is being played at border, we go and play it at border. We don't got to go to Lord's cricket ground and they're going to say, well, where you coming for your who and what you bring there? We don't do, this is how it is. You just can't walk into a place and say, well, I want this bill and so forth. Look at the videos of who were there. It's just the Queen's delegation. You got 150 senators, 63 state senators, and 150 assembly people to convince. You got people from Buffalo, Binghamton, Schenectady, all over the place, Ontario, wherever. They will not join a bill like this. They will want something for their community. But with Mayor Adams, he by himself can pass the holiday. So we're sending this to him. Resolution to make Diwali a public school holiday now. And this is where I am. I put my name on everything because I'm not afraid of anybody to say, oh, there's someone who write this. Baldeo write this if you want to know. At District Leader Albert Baldeo's office on Sunday, January 29, that's today, 2023, at 10611 Liberty Avenue, Ozone Park, Queens. This is here at my office. This is not an office funded by any government agency or anybody give me funds through non-profit. No, I don't want that. Because my independence will be compromised. So if God has given me, I use it for the community. Nobody can control this office or me except the people and the people's will. That is what this is about. That is the message I want to send to every Guyanese person and child growing up there. Like Rusad, that they must take over the mantle. Young men and young women. I will not be around, forever. But at least I want you to follow the legacy and the pathway that we've cut off. Just like with the planets, we have to continue to protect our dharma, our religion, and our beliefs. And this is what this petition states. Petition and resolution by unanimous acclaim seeking to have Mayor Eric Adams and Assemblymember Jennifer Rajkumar keep their promise to make the Diwali school holiday, quote, immediately after being sworn into their respective offices. To New York City Mayor Eric Adams and Assemblymember Jennifer Rajkumar. Whereas, each of you, individually and collectively, promised on several occasions to declare Diwali school holiday in NYC, in New York City, in response to the spiritual needs of over 300,000 Hindu, Sikh, Jain, and Buddhist families. But you have failed to do so, despite the passage of several years, causing us to feel betrayed, deceived, and gaslighted to allow you to obfuscate and wash your hands of this issue. And whereas your constituents are hard-working U.S. citizens and taxpayers, that's us, who are entitled to practice their religion in accordance with the U.S. Constitution, the New York State Constitution, and the highest entitlement to the tradition of American values, and whose fundamental rights and dignity are being infringed upon due to your lack of positive action on this issue. And whereas these constituents are all proud American patriots, who strongly support your respective campaigns, issues, and wholeheartedly believe in your promises and trusted you both. And whereas previous mayors like Bill de Blasio proclaimed other school holidays like Eid and Lunar New Year in the previous mayoral administration, in accordance with their executive powers as mayor, which you are also now empowered with. That's Mayor Adams. And whereas the removal of snow days and remote learning possibilities have made it easier for you, the present mayor to declare Diwali a school holiday and honor your promises. As you are, like you always say, I am the mayor. You know, you are that, right? I am the mayor. Good. You're also the mayor to proclaim the religious holiday, like Diwali also. So when you say I'm the mayor, you should also say I'm the mayor and grant Diwali because you have the powers. You are the mayor. Yes, we respect that. We know you're the mayor. And we respect that. But you can only earn that respect if you're fair and you keep your word, and that is to grant Diwali also. And whereas both of you with unbelievable, delusional pomp and ceremony, this ingenuously declared Diwali holiday falsely accumulated worldwide accolades and garnered praise and coverage from both media and right-thinking people globally, including even making Bollywood star like Priyanka Chopra. And other celebrities praise you both, which is misleading, unethical, and wrong. And whereas in an attempt to save face for you both over your painful betrayals, Jennifer Rajkumar has sponsored a bill to declare Diwali a state holiday. A state holiday for New York City. It doesn't work that way in the state legislature. And a bait and switch game. Even though previous attempts by senior legislators over the years have all failed, as you both know. So this was a con game we played. Stop playing that game with us. So where such failure was so profound that the previous Diwali bills did not even make it out of committee. But we will continue efforts to make it pass, subject to the condition that the mayor comply with his duty of leading the charge to all the legislators with Rajkumar. But more importantly, honor his promise to declare Diwali a New York City public school holiday now. So two things. We're going to continue, but we want you to go to Albany with us. We're going to take you by helicopter, though I know you got your own helicopter, or take you by whatever. But we want you to stand there in Albany and say, I want Diwali as a mayor. I promise these people, I found it, I couldn't do whatever in your legal assessment of it. You support that bill that you sent her that fool's errand, or that errand to do. But at the same time, go back to your office, like you said, in City Hall. You just have to take a helicopter or bus this time. You walk over to the office. So you can sign it in his bed, bring the legislation to me, let me sign it. He has over, what's it staff like probably a few thousand staff come over and let me sign this, you know? So he got to sign that legislation now and finish this thing in New York City. And then we can go to Albany to let the state get it. But unless and until he does that, be it resolved that Mayor Eric Adams, by public proclamation or executive order, declared Diwali a public school holiday in New York City now. This is what this, do you have this, brother? You can put it up on the sign, on there. And you put this here too. This is our declaration here. And this is it too, where we have said, you got one, two, where we have saying, we're not here to make trouble, or we're not here to criticize anybody. At the end of the day, this can be corrected. And at the end of the day, we as brothers and sisters can work together as Martin Luther King, which is embellished on that wall, and right behind was Malcolm X. So you understand what's going on there. Keep it. That what we're asking for is justice. We're asking for equality. And that's all we need, equal rights.
And if I could add on to that,
Sure.
We're not asking them to do anything new. We're asking them to fulfill the promises they already made.
Correct.
They already said this. The whole world has it on record. that they
Richie
said it.
already proclaimed it
Yeah.
orally.
Yeah,
They may get
so we're asking them to just fulfill
A legal
the
challenge.
promises that they have already made. And as Mr. Mulder was saying earlier, you cannot let the mayor wash his hands of the issue. I call what he and Mr. Rajkumar announced in October a punt, because he punted it from the city to the state. But we can't forget, the city has the power, as you're saying, if they want to tomorrow. The mayor has the authority to do it. The city council can pass a bill to do it. They can do it. So don't just say, because the state process is going on. No, the city process is independent. They can get it done tomorrow if they want to, but clearly they don't want to because they have not done it yet. And the same politicians who will come to you and come for re-election, remind them that they were elected the first time they didn't get it done. So why give them 2 more years or 4 more years if they just remember you now right before the election or right before a certain day? they had their time to do it, they didn't get it done. I think the old saying goes, when someone shows you their true colors the first time, believe them. I think you should believe their true colors now that they've shown it to you. And you know, our community keeps getting disrespected because we don't leverage our vote. We need to leverage our vote. It's no use that we all talk or we all say, oh, the mayor didn't do this or this one didn't do this or whatever. And if, come next election, if the mayor sweeps this area of votes, then you can't complain then. Then you're giving them permission to betray you and do it to you all over again. So our community needs to start leveraging our votes. We need to be united. And as I was saying earlier, you know, our community, we have a lot of disagreements. If we disagree about 9 out of 10 things, we can bicker on the 9 out of 10 things later with whoever you want to bicker with. But on the 1 out of 10 things, let's get that one thing done first. Let's get that thing done for our people, our children, this community. We need that representation. Nothing else should come before that right now. We need to get our priorities straight. We need to get stuff done. We need not just talk, but action.
Yeah, let's hear you, Pandit. As you speak on behalf of all Pandits, I imagine.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of anyone. I only speak on my own behalf. As a concern, I can't even use the word citizen. I'm in a citizen's country. I'm not in between legal and half legal, illegal, if you will. But I'm asking the parents and the grandparents, just as how you made a decision to effect and to transcend and to change the trajectory of your future generation coming to America, I'm asking you not to give up on that hope or the idea of Diwali being a holiday. We want our children to be here, we want them to be a part of American society, and we must recognize and understand that Diwali should be a part of American society. Millions of Americans are benefiting when they say they do yoga, they do meditation, and they can contemplate doing Om. And yet, in the same breath, we're asking you to lead on those ideas so that American society can benefit from Diwali. We should lead with Diwali, we should lead on the principle of light and continue on that principle and do not relent, because if we do, we're failing only our children. Thank you very much.
I wanted his brother to say something. Can you hold the line for him and let him say a few words also? Give him the life to hold here. Come up this side. Come over here, brother. Come over here, brother.
Yes, good evening. It's a pleasure to be in here this evening with Mr. Baldeo, my good friend here. About 2-3 years back, I was in the campaign when the mayor had pledged that he would make Diwali a public holiday. He also was with us last year when we had the Guyana Day, and he come and he told us that, oh yes, I have to thank you guys for putting me in office. And he pledged that he would see that Diwali becomes a holiday. And we had the Diwali show at Lefforts last year, where Jennifer Rajkumar and the mayor and others were there, and he also pledged to have us get Diwali as a holiday. And a few days after, we see in the newspaper that, oh, Diwali would be a school holiday. So I'm asking here this evening, not only on behalf of all the other denominations, so we want to get Diwali as a holiday for Little Guyana and the people of New York. Thank you.
And what do you have to say about this next bill that was sponsored? When was Tuesday gone? This are the bill that say all these people, and some not people, but these are the facts. I have it in red. Read from this.
Yes. The following culture religion holiday shall be school holiday for any school or school district where the Board of Education or trustee determines such school holiday or district have considered proportion of students who observe such holiday. 1. Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Azha, Diwali, and then to add to it now, we are mixing it like Tihar, Bandi Chor Divas, and Onam. That's a mixture of holiday, like when you have a pot of cocoa rice with all the different particles inside. So we are mixing it up here. Tihar come in, Bandi Chor Divas, and Onam. These weren't promised in the election campaign.
And to
But-
the best of your knowledge, did the Assemblywoman or the Mayor explain that these other holidays will be involved in the
Yes.
decision making? Did they ever come out and say anything
No,
since Tuesday?
No, we haven't heard from them since this on the
And right,
25th.
you were also surprised to learn of this.
It's
You
very
wasn't aware. Okay.
interested. This came out on the 25th of
This is
January.
Tuesday gone.
Tuesday gone, but it wasn't publicly made.
And you expect this cocoa price gonna affect Diwali because you asked for 4 different things at the same time, right?
Yes, this would affect the Diwali holiday, the confirmation of having Diwali as a holiday, because you had here Tihar is including Bandi Chor Divas and Onam. Also, we also had Eid ul Fitr, Eid ul Azha. That's ending.
I don't want to interrupt, but just to put it in a simple way, everybody's going to understand. If you have to agree to a contract, and you put more terms in the contract, now that's going to delay the contract, it's going to hold it up, now you have to review the terms, now you got to say, well, do I really want to agree to these new terms? So, look, I think that this, as unfortunate as it is what has happened in this community, I think this is an opportunity for us to use it. You know when they say, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, if we have the opportunity to make this an educational moment about the civics process, because we need people to understand how the process works in order for us to not be duped again, right? And I think the reason that they believed that they could dupe us was because there are so many who unfortunately aren't able to understand it. But if we take the moment and educate people, people will understand it and they will not be duped again. This is you have the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. Mr. Rajkumar is a member of the legislature. Mayor Adams is the executive of the city. She's a member of the legislature of the state. You have city government, you have state government. The city executive, the mayor, by the equivalent of executive order, mayoral proclamation, can get this done.
He
right?
has all the powers
He
of
gets
these
it.
people.
On the other hand, a legislature, they have to come and vote together. A member of the legislature, like Mr. Ashford, can come and introduce a bill, but they don't vote on every bill. Some bills don't get.
I wanted to kind of say something.
No, what I want to, I'm following some, we have some great people contributing in the shout box. We have Japdeep Singh.
Oh, he's
watching.
Shout out to him, he's a very nice
Yeah,
man.
we have Amita Kalawan on too, Imran Ahmad. What I want to read, which is important, Japdeep Singh says, we've been fighting for this. It has no barring with Diwali, it's the same day off. So what he's trying to say is, but you have all this holiday that you're asking, it's one day off. One day they're looking for.
No,
It's not like 5
I
days.
understand what he's saying, but that stops short of the dignity and equality that needs to be presented to us or given to us. And that is equality with all these other religions. And whether we take a day off, that's not to say where kids won't get bad grades, lack of attendance. They may even put a test on that day to spike kids. Let us have our dignity, let's have the full. We're entitled to the full. For too long we've been behind, and for too long we've been short.
Well, if we just add to that, I think in terms of the equality issue, the groups that have been fighting for Banichor Divas, I have a lot of respect for them. And the other holidays as well, the Tihar or Onam, and I wish them luck in their fight to get it done. I would just say at the same time, if we're going to focus on the issue of Ms. Rajkumar misleading,
We play
right? In terms of misleading people, when she even made the recent announcement for this new piece of legislation, it's not like she ran with, oh, I'm doing this. She ran with, oh, it's Diwali, and then within the headline of Diwali, it's included that after, where it just continues this pattern of announcing one major thing as the takeaway, and then when you look into the details, there's so much other things that the people have to take it upon themselves to learn. So, but in terms of the equality thing, I wish every group, if Japanese is among those groups fighting that, I wish every group well in fighting for equality is the most important thing, and the more holidays representative of more religions, the better. But we need to be straightforward when we're presenting information to our constituents.
You know what I want to add to is that Aminta is saying that this would not delay any process. However, as a layman, as I am speaking, you guys are attorneys and law and went to law school and so on. From someone who's watching from outside, I think what needs to happen is people need to communicate and explain to people what's going on. That's what makes it goes. I mean, because you guys understand the language, but other people like me don't. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
in answer to that question, I've already done a daily news article. I've already done Caribbean Life, the Indian Panorama, several other media, and then I put it in. So everybody needs to write. I know Minta's a good writer. She needs to put it in the West Indian.
Right.
She was one of the few who came out and wrote. I think she wrote something in the Queen's Eagle. And then I had communication with her.
Right.
And I was saying, wow, you're one of the few people who've seen this, and I compliment you. Keep your eyes on the ball, and let's do this. And let's keep spreading the word, and that is why this meeting is here, to make sure that such an event, you can have a seat, brother, we'll come to you just before about Diwali, yes, that such an event has that kind of stature and that kind of recognition. So my thing is that we need to go back to the mayor, and I wanted to recommend from what you said yesterday, that the mayor has washed his hands off it. We can't allow that to happen. That's like Judas. Judas was able to wash his hands of Christ and Peter, and they deserted and left him. We don't want that. We want to make sure, like Anrawan did the same thing. What we want to do is this. They have to make sure that we bring him back to the table. Because he has all the powers of this legislative people who are going to lobby. Until up in Albany, breaking down the place and talk, that's good. But do not miss the ball on the city council option, controlled by one man, who by proclamation through his Chancellor Banks, has already said on record that I declared a holiday. You know, technically, Ken, he can be sued because orally he proclaimed the holiday. And we can go to a judge and say, tell him to force him to do it because you got to put it in writing now. That may be worth a shot because then we learn that we can't go and con people like this. But we won't do that. We give him a chance to go and correct this whole thing.
But no, the politicians got a lot of leeway. But it's also
I know,
because
but yeah,
of
but it's
what they
fake
can say,
promises and so
on.
forth. Is that a Minta's question?
No, she did make a lot of comment, but I think Aminta is, she really wants us to get it. Let me read, she said there is no city council opinion, Albert. We are legally preempted, but the mayor can do it via the chancellor's regulation. I know this for a fact as a legislative attorney.
Well, let's go to another person in the city council we have here and ask Google and all of you listening here, if you have an education on this issue, go to YouTube Albert Baldeo and Diwali. This same hearing here. You will see at this hearing, right here, I was here with Vijay and I think and Dan Paul and so on testified. No, he left early. But at this hearing, the chairman of the Education Committee, Councilman Traeger, Mark Traeger, clearly, I put in the panorama view, it has the link, where the commission trader said, listen, let me tell you all something. If the mayor wants Diwali, he can pass it tomorrow. Exact words of a chairman, not a legislative council like Aminta. This is an actual sitting councilman elected to the Education Committee, Mark Traeger, saying in a city council hearing, let me tell you, because I pushed him to the edge. And I kept pushing him, why you blah, blah, blah. And I'm supposed to speak for 3 minutes, I spoke for 15. And I pushed him to the edge. He said, listen, you know what? I applaud your testimony. You're a very brave man, and I agree with you. Let me tell you the lay of the land. Go to that video, you will see Mark Traeger saying that Diwali can be passed by the mayor tomorrow if he wants. This was just a few months ago. That testimony came out. The chairman saying that, the chair of education, and he said the way you have to do this is by the chancellor's regulation. But let me tell you something. If the mayor tells his chancellor, who works at his pleasure, he could fire him tomorrow and tell him that I want Diwali, prepare the papers and let me sign it. You think any mayor, any person going to say, but we can't? He will tell him like he always said, but I'm the mayor. And he will reverse back and bring it for me to sign. And let me tell you this. If he signs Diwali legislation, there's nobody going to raise a finger to the mayor because they will look bigoted, they will look small, and it's the right thing to do. It's not money. You're not giving Richmond Hill money. You're not giving Hindus money. You're not even giving them a remind. You're not giving them nothing, food or nothing. All you're doing is giving them the fundamental right which you have to give as the mayor. So that is why it's a good question and very well said. But yes, he has the mechanism and he has the authority to pass it. But this is not to be saying this. This is him saying this, the mayor. And this he said many words. Ramgopal Rousat just played a video
and use the charger.
where Rousat showed that he
my phone
captured
is
on
gonna die.
voice.
No,
where
this
he
one.
says he's going to walk over the way.
No.
We have another
Charge my phone.
5 more, where he said, when you elect me now, I'm walking over to City Hall. I'm walking over to my house. Like how I'm here in my house, he has his own house. Well, I mean, this is my office, but he has far more than what we have. I'm humble compared to him. He has City Hall at his side. He's a top man, the peak. So don't let's get caught up in this bait and switch game, this kind of artist game. He can go and sign Mayor Adams there, Diwali holiday. 2 sentences.
Okay.
For one, I hereby declare Diwali to be a public school holiday from from the next Diwali 2023. Full stop, sign, Mayor Adams, Mayor of New York City. That cannot be challenged in court. That cannot be challenged by anybody. That cannot be challenged by the governor. And another thing, he sent us to Kathy Hochul, and I want to make this point before. I don't think Kathy Hochul knows about Diwali or cared much about it. She's from a different, state.
Well, I mean, she's gone to Diwali
She
celebrations.
went, right.
So-
But I don't know how committed she is. The mayor said this. Now, this is a woman you got to go to all the way in Albany, Kathy Hochul. And the problem with Kathy is that we got to start a new dialogue with her when we already have Mayor bought into this. Kathy Hochul, by the way, was elected already. And she might say, but I don't think the Diwali people elected me. So, it's not like a payback. I hear you, but the person who owes us, the person who said it, and the person who has to deliver is Mayor Eric Adams. Always keep your eyes on the ball. Don't let's go around in circles. Don't let's get pushed around. You've got to keep your eyes on the ball. Just like how I asked you to keep your eyes on this ball with this map with keep us together in Little Guyana, that we should have our own thing. So we have to continue to write, we have to continue to lobby, we have to continue to confront. You understand? We have to let the mayor know this, right, brother? And I know that you're a person, come and say a few words. You're a good friend of mine, very active man. Come here.
Thank you very much.
We talked about Diwali to be a holiday and why we should have a complete district, and I know you've been with us in several
All right.
events.
Thank you. And on behalf of the people of New York City and the world's population at large, we are speaking on the tactic code of non-reversible action without force that must go through. And Mr. Albert Baldeo here on to my side is leading the forwarding word for the people of the nation and the nation's world, moving as he has outlined the claim. Thank you very much, and on behalf of all of you, appreciate that.
And brother, will you be willing to go with us to City Hall? I know you've been in many civil rights rallies with us. You're much spoken and emotional speaker. Would you be willing to go with us to City Hall and demand that the mayor keep his word in other forums, like when he comes here?
The will of rights. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we are here to forward the will of the people here on earth.
Because that's a Christian perspective, tying hands with Hindus, and that's great that we can have interdenominational coalesce amongst this bill. So if the comes here, and most likely coming for Pagwa to start looking for votes, we will have to confront him in the Pagwa parade or whatever event we have. When they come here and drive up, want to have things and so forth, we'll have to bring him back and let him know. Because I must say this, I want to thank Muhammad Q, because Muhammad Q, the last Diwali, he made a lot of ruckus in the crowd. And I could see that on de Blasio's face, it made a change to him. He felt ashamed to some extent, because Q and his group were telling him that you have Diwali, and he couldn't answer that. So that is a way where you have to confront them sometimes, when it comes to the stage, when they don't want to listen to us, and when they're playing deaf. So I will ask you to remember that, brother, so that you can do this. Ken, are there any other questions? And also, what do you think about this bill here, that we should have our own district here, Little Guyana? It's slice and dice.
Well, this I know we have been fighting for the longest, and I think that this time we will definitely win. So
Right, well, they have drawn the map. I know you were there. That is the map we were asking them to just approve.
Yes.
The State Assembly map. We were asking them to approve that map, and we'll be going out to placards and so forth to say, we don't want this, but we want this blue to be united, and that Rajkumar, and that name keeps popping up again. I'm telling you, this Rajkumar name is coming up much too often in a negative way. Here again, she's in this slice and dice with weapon Whitfield and Anderson in the places where they don't belong. And it's simple. I don't read the Riot Act and the Constitution to them. You don't belong here. Just because it tells we don't belong in certain parts because of who we are, because of the community of interest. That's what America talks about. This is Howard Beach. I'm not going to Howard Beach, sorry. Anderson, I'm not going over to Rockaway where he has his base of his district. Rajkumar, Woodhaven, and Glendale. I'm not going much into them, Glendale. And Weprin, more up on we have to get our own district with a common province to get resources here. That's my point. And that is what they have seen too. The Republicans have seen that with the Democrats. And I thank them both for it. But we will be going to compliment them. And if they were to say no, then we're going to go back to court. We're going to go back to court and fight this redistricting. You know, it is very, very important. So Ken, what are the questions you have?
I want to know.
You don't want to show them that
Yeah,
red?
show them that.
Let me see that red
Please
thing.
tell them this is the red map you want, which is the same like that.
All right, this is the red map. And it will be explained further in detail.
Which is the same like that, 4 cut-up pieces.
Okay.
Slice and dice.
Okay,
That's a 4 tin of sardine, you're making it a 1 tin here now. Which is all our mandirs, all our churches, all our people are here. And masjids. And the schools and cricket grounds and so on, we need this map here.
all right.
Yes.
All
What
right.
you saying, Ken? Any
So,
other-
so my thing is that this bill is still active.
Well, you can say active, but you know, it's like a rat in a basement, it's not gonna go anywhere.
If I could respond to that, and in addition, respond to the other point, which I think you said was maybe I meant to, I have a lot of respect for Minta, and I respect her opinion. She's a talented person representing our community. I just say, when I think the wording was that this would not delay the process
Right.
further. Now, maybe in terms of, okay, it has been introduced, that this won't delay the process further, but being read in the assembly or having a.
Which one delay the process? You mean the mayor's stuff?
I'll finish what I'm saying.
This other one?
Yeah, but the point I want to make is, maybe it will not delay the process in the sense that it will be introduced, it will be read in committee, and hopefully pass committee, and go to the floor of the entire assembly. But, the thing is, when you have a track record of an individual misleading on the issue, and then in addition to that, in terms of the process, according to the process, it was supposedly done since last October, according to the headline, right? So when you have a process in which, if you backtrack, this is being a process of being misled. You're told since last October it was done or would be done. Then you come December, the legislative session expires, it was not done. Then you come reintroduce it in January with a new bill now. Once a trust is broken, it's hard to repair that, and I sincerely hope that eventually something like this will be passed. But once that trust is broken, it's hard to trust the state legislators that it will be passed sometime soon, and especially when they have the history of duping us on this issue. And then in terms of the way the bill is written, obviously she mentions a legislative attorney. I respect her opinion greatly, but in terms of that this will shall be school holidays for any school or school districts where the Board of Education or trustees determine such schools or districts have a considerable portion of students who observe such days, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Diwali, Tiyar Ben Introduced, and on now. That is adding another leg to the process where it will then go back to the Board of Education or trustees of the school district. Once this is even passed the state assembly and state senate and signed into law by the governor, then it goes back to the local Board of Education. So this is just adding more time to the process where we're not going to see this done in 2023. I'll just finish the sentence, or it may be 2024, 2025 by the time you finally see it get done.
Right.
So this is a long process. Yes, it's still active, but we have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to get the pressure on them before they let it become inactive.
And what we do in City Hall has no bearing on Albany. City Hall is always open. Albany is going to close in June, and therefore, let me finish this point. We have to make sure that the mayor do it now, because the heat is on him, and we got to confront him now. We have to get rid of this issue now and forever. Now, another thing what he's talking about with Diwali. You know, the speaker may ask Ms. Rajkumar, Ms. Rajkumar, how many bills have you sponsored? She has one bill here. She has another bill here. She had another bill in October. You've got 3 bills in active. What was the person asking if they're active?
No, me. I want to know.
Yeah, right. And you have all these 3 bills. And I think yesterday you said on your show too that, oh, let's take the mayor off because that is the worst mistake you could ever make. Because he's the man you have to get to answer. He's the man who has to deliver. Not these bills in dozens coming out and a little piece of paper. This is not going anywhere. I wish I am wrong, but I'm telling you now, with respect to Minton, I don't want to think that, well, because I'm disrespecting her. All I'm saying is this. We have had a chair of legislative, the chair of education, which controls these holidays, in the city council, Mark Traeger, just a few months ago. So if I'm to be guided by the process of the bill making, in addition to what the Mint is saying, this gentleman, if you go to YouTube and Google Albert Baldeo on Diwali Holiday, you will hear that when he tells me, with his face on the camera, that this is the make and sign tomorrow, if he wants. And as a law, I would make sure we use that as Exhibit A. That the chair of the city council, who's not just an ordinary city councilman, he's the chair. He's the one who gets the bill out of committee and sends it for signature to the mayor, to the speaker. So that is a far gone process, more than what she has here. These legislative bills. So my point to you is that we can continue. There's no reason why we can't chew chewing gum and say, and what was it?
Blow something and blow
at the same time. We got, let them do what they got to do in Albany. We'll take Mayor Adams there in the bus or the helicopter. But we got to make sure that Mayor Adams does this in City Hall.
And to add on to that, this bill would be, as we said just now, it goes then back to the Board of Education. There's nothing prohibiting the Board of Education right now, or the City of New York, the City Board of Education, under the Chancellor, appointed by the Mayor, from acting right now on this issue.
Exactly.
So this is just prolonging this, going to send it back to...
You mean the Albany stuff?
Yeah, this assembly...
The assembly, yes. You're bringing out assembly bill Tuesday.
So this...
So it's 3 bills and 1 drop, now 2 left.
Will be a prolonged
Next week
process.
another bill might come up. And these are things you got to confront her with. We're not bashing anybody. But you can't be representing me as a lawyer or whatever your background is, and you representing us, and you're hiding a bill that you tried to get 3 other holidays inside here, thereby crippling our bill, where we have the, the largest constituents of Diwali observers. And I have nothing against these other 3 folks, but I'm now hearing about you for the first time. And I want to ask Mr. Rajkumar, well, why are you bringing in these other people with us? You were on one thing and you tell us Diwali, by whatever name. And last time I checked, these other 3 holidays are not even related to Diwali, they're from different denominations. So you can't go there with mixed things and mixed messages and fool around these people. They just won't join you.
So let me ask a question. Why don't we get Miss Jennifer Rajkumar to make a statement? You know, I know we're doing a lot of talking, but I want to hear what she has to say.
Well,
Can somebody...
Apart from what I showed you 5
No. I understand that, like...
I'll just say, well, look, she's a smart politician. She's clearly a smart person in terms of to get as far as she's got. I don't think that she's going to open herself up to tough interviews and tough questions. I personally have tried to interview her in the past without adequate response from her.
I invited Ms. Rajkumar today.
Clearly she was invited here today. She didn't show up.
I emailed her, I texted her, and I called her. And I'm a district leader. If I call the head of the county organization now, Mr. Chairman Gregory Meeks, he will answer the phone. So why is Rajkumar, an assembly woman, does not respond to a district leader?
So yeah, and then I think have you reached out to her for an interview as well?
I you know what, it came back, so I'll send a message to her tomorrow. Okay. But I think it's important we hear what she has to say.
Oh, definitely.
Before we proceed on anything, you know, because guess what? I think like Jap was saying, we probably all need to go to City Hall.
Oh yes, Jap is right.
We need to go.
Jap is right.
But in addition to
Jap is right.
the world heard from her last October. They heard what she said last October. She never, I mean, it was misleading what she did last October. So you've already heard from her. This is a community response to her. So let's see what she counters with. But this is a community response to her. So in terms of, let's hear from her. We have heard from her, and we've seen her failure to deliver.
This is where we wrote articles about it. This is where she was on CNN. And you see the Priyanka Chopra one. That's the one where Priyanka Chopra was
Well, we all see them news.
The audience. We have an audience, don't forget.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
We have an audience.
Yeah, I
who will look for Priyanka Chopra. And she was saying there After all these years, she grew up in Queens. My teenage self living in Queens is crying tears of joy. Do you think she's still emotional now that she realized there's no Diwali?
She probably hurt.
She definitely is P word, not hurt, but the P word. Now, my point is that if you can fool people like stars like that, and you got a mayor beaming like this, come on.
I want to ask you a question, Baldeo. Do you think that she misled the people, or somebody misled her?
But let me explain this to you.
And I think you answered a question yesterday.
Of the press, but I'll answer it this way. The press confirmed to me that, Albert, listen, I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're asking about. This was a disingenuous thing. The word disingenuous means deliberately misleading, evil, deceitful, cunning, and stuff like that. It means in a very bad way. You have used your knowledge to betray and to exploit people. So they have seen through this scam. And let me tell you this, John. You will not have 100,000 where you fool. Who can push you to fool? CNN, ABC, Channel 11, NBS, CBS, Indian Panorama, Associated Press, Indian Press. The whole world, you fool. Boy, I would love to have somebody that mislead me so I could be all over the paper like that. I'll get elected tomorrow.
And Jap is saying that a lot of news agency request her to interview. But my thing is, like I said yesterday on my show, that, she's an Indian woman, politician, a lawyer. Wouldn't this be a great accomplishment for her to get this holiday pass?
It will be, but not like this.
And to Jeffrey's point, I mean, yeah, she has done press with these outlets who've given her kind press, but tough press is a very different story. I don't think I've seen her be challenged on this issue, and clearly it's something that she should be challenged on. Yes. There's no doubt she would do an interview with someone who wouldn't challenge her. Somebody who would challenge her, I think that's a different story. And to the question of whether or not this has been something where she was strict or was a mistake or something along those lines, look, she's a very smart person, clearly. She went to Stanford Law School. She was once a professor at Lehman College. She's a state assembly woman. She's clearly a very smart and talented person in her own right. I doubt that she was fooled, and even if she was fooled or was some mistake, since October that should have been corrected. I think anybody in this room, if something they said was misrepresented or they felt was misrepresented, they would go out the very next day and correct it. She has not corrected that record, and that in itself tells you the true colors and true intentions. So I mean, these people commenting, Japanese or whoever, I have a lot of respect for these people commenting, but I don't think that we should.
Oh, we got some big stars.
I don't think we should lose sight.
And let me join in what Rusat is saying. What Rusat is saying, and what I also believe in, is this: how can you call an assemblywoman into doing something like that when you know the facts and the issues and we explain it to you? Why didn't you seek the input? Pandit, you were ever called to this Diwali holiday at their office to talk about it? No Pandits had an input in this. Nobody. You had some people out in Long Island, which is not in our constituency, giving our advice. They called me to go on the lobby and tell me you got a little piece more for pass. And I said, no. You speak to somebody who got intelligence. Then I got no little piece pass. Nothing to pass, and I'm going to waste time with you in Albany. Talk to me, and next time you speak to me, speak true. And I can call it the chief. Their temple is in Long Island. I have the note somewhere, but I don't bother with people like these who don't have nothing constructive or positive to move this community. So my point to you is this: having been conned, and you all see Rajkumar and the mayor with no skin between them, they're very close. All she had to do was say, Mr. Mayor, we got a problem. You set me up to declare Diwali holiday, and I am getting a tremendous negative feedback from my people. So you now need to go and make this happen. You need to reverse this whole thing. Let's go back to with banks and all that. And let's take back the two little kids that we took for photo op. And let's go back this whole thing again. You're not going to con me like this. This is my people. These are my constituents. Then the mayor said, but you know, this is how politics is. You wash my back, I wash your back. She said, no. This is my people, my constituents. And if you're going to fool the whole of New York City, you're not going to fool my people, because I'm standing up for them. So when you say, Hiram, and I respect you a lot for this, you have to see it in the context. We have to see that this could not have been an error. And this is an error that is now being repeated in this con game over and over, that you don't gotta get where you can't see daytime.
Take lamp to see night
Yeah,
time.
take lamp to see nighttime. This not nighttime.
Right.
This is glaring and in your face sort of trend. This has never been done before in my 30 years of politics and law and practicing and helping this community. Nobody never come and give us those things and try to con us in our face. None. Not even the blind governor Patterson, who took away that seat and put on Crowley and these guys what it did here. This is with a political maneuvering. But this is downright deceit. Downright deceit.
And I'll just say, you know, I know the people in this community are very kind people, nice people. They don't want to see confrontation with someone. They might say, they'll try to look at what was how to give the person the benefit of the doubt. Try to ascribe some best possible reason to someone for why something was done the way it was done. But look, I don't care whether you like Jennifer Edgeworth or dislike Jennifer Edgeworth. Let's take the personality out of it. Let's just look at the facts. The facts are, an announcement was made last October by Mr. Ashkumar and Mr. Adams in their capacity as State Assemblywoman and Mayor of New York City. That announcement was then covered in the press as a done deal. Diwali to be public school holiday in New York City. That was a misleading representation of that news. The people of this community then believed that Diwali would be a public school holiday. Up to now, this day here, in January 2023, Diwali is still not a public school holiday. Clearly, people were misled along those lines, and the individuals responsible are those in the press who covered it, and those who made that announcement at the press conference. And we need to not forget that. We need to make sure we hold those accountable who misled this community. We can't just say, oh, well, you know, maybe they didn't mean that. No, we were misled, and we need to remember that.
We're showing them where it got.
So let me ask both of you guys. I'm going to ask both of you, supposing that she have a meeting plan and she says, listen, I'm sorry, I apologize. Nobody was misled, really. It was a simple mistake. Would you guys accept that?
No, I'm sorry. Look, okay. I have enormous respect for you, Mr. Rampersad. You know that.
No, I am.
No, what I'm saying, we can't let her, or anybody else for that matter, get away with saying nobody was misled. Because we know for a fact people were misled. At the end of the day, whether you want to use the word misled or not, whether you want to use positive or negative words, people were misled. They were told one thing when another was true. They were told Diwali would be a public school holiday. Diwali still up to today is not a public school holiday. Check the list of public school holidays. Look back at the headline from CNN. Diwali to be public school holiday. Look back at the coverage of that press conference. Our time has come. The time still hasn't come yet. The clock's still ticking. We don't have the holiday yet. So people were misled. Whether you want to use the word or not, people were misled. And we can't keep sugarcoating and dancing around it. We have to call it for what it is. People were misled.
And again, guys, I'm just asking questions to stimulate these guys so that we could get some good answers. Don't worry.
Let me give an input, and I agree with Rosa. What you're saying, if she calls and
If she apologized, yes.
But we can't let her lie more in her apology. We can't let her cover up so people were misled.
Right. So
the apology has to be straightforward.
she got to sit down and sign this, carry this
Okay,
proclamation
let's say for argument's sake that next week we get the news that, listen, we get Diwali holiday. Would you guys, both of you, shake her hand and say thank you very much?
I would say congratulations, but that still doesn't mean you didn't mislead us last October.
Yeah, he's right. This thing is not even made out of committee. This is a bill she carried in Albany to pass out here in New York City. This is hardly, they make state laws up there for the state. This is for the city, the mayor's dominion. So when you say you're going to pass next week, I wish from your lips to God's ears. But my brother, the way she put this stuff, they're throwing this in the toilet paper, the toilet bin.
I'll explain to you another way. Say, especially to the people who are watching at home, say you were told by your spouse or your parent or whoever that, you know, when you come home tonight, you have a nice meal.
At the meeting,
you're hungry, you're waiting for that meal, and you come home and there's no meal for you.
Disappointed.
Even if they make a nice breakfast in the morning, they still didn't give you dinner last night.
Right.
So even if she were to get it done now, that doesn't excuse the fact that she said one thing, it was covered in the press as if it was done, and it was still not done then.
You know what I find, from reading the comments in Shoutbox, I think we will have a good conversation. We could invite both of you guys back, Aminta Kelawan and Jap, and we could have a great conversation. Let's give it a month time, see what she's going to say.
We need dialogue in this community.
We need her.
Okay, so
dialogue is a wonderful thing.
I would love to help moderate the conversation.
to bring the community up to date. She should hold a town
So
hall
we should
meeting.
plan something,
A
yes.
big open house meeting, invite all stakeholders, the good, the bad, the ugly, the religious, whatever, priests, and everybody, stakeholders, all of us, bring it to the youth assembly. That's how they do it. And I've been to several of these things. No matter how big a politician you are, you hold a town hall meeting and you said, this is the issue. When we had the police harassment and this thing, we had a town hall meeting and we straightened them out. So all she got to come and say, where's this bill? Where has it gone? What is the next step? What can we expect? That is your duty as an assemblywoman. That is your duty as a representative. And she can bring a dabble to the one who else she sponsors the bill. Bring them and come and take questions from us.
I don't want any dialogue to be framed as, that we're arguing with a mentor or Japanese. No, we're all community leaders. We all need to come together on it. And as I was saying, unity is the most important thing. Whether for example, we have different styles of approaching the issue, we all care about this issue at the end of the day, and we all need to come together. So I don't want any dialogue to be framed as, we're arguing against either Japanese government. I was on your show with a Minty yesterday. We agree on this issue. Now, we may differ in how we're approaching the issue, but it's the same end goal that we want. And I'm sure, I could say for Japanese as well, it's the same end goal that we all want. So we may differ in how we talk about it, how our styles. I think everybody in this room has different styles, right? But we need to keep our eye on the ball, and we need to get this goal across the finish line.
Yeah, what I'm saying to him, he's right. We have to meet with her.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me remind Aminta and Jack that we also going to testify. I know Aminta does this. And I'm going to a meeting with her soon. We have to go and testify as per that map, that we must have a little Guyana, a little India, little Punjab map consolidated. I hope to see them there, because we will be there, and we've got to hold one voice. That we want a combined map for Little Guyana here, from Hillside to the Cross Bay, to the Conduit, to Vanwick, and to Woodhaven. That is the map that we want. And that is what it drew us. So don't let's go and confuse these people on that issue. On this issue, we call for action. We call for the mayor. We call for the mayor to do it. It is not right to say, let's the mayor wash his hands off of it. You're giving him a Judas escape, a Peter, who, you know the story with Peter, right? You as a Christian minister will know this. The cockroach tried and he betrayed Jesus. My point to you is this, and Rawan had the same way he betrayed So my issue is this. She has to now use her influence on the mayor. She's one of the closest. She was on the mayor's transition team. This is a woman who helped to tell the mayor who to put as advice deputy mayor. This is the person who was sitting on his transition team. So she should tell him that we got a problem. My people are very upset over what you promised. And my constituents, they're not going to vote for you, you're going to lose. You're going to lose the next election, Mr. Mayor, unless you put this thing straight. And you're going to go down in history as a deceitful mayor. And therefore, you got to give the people the honey. Simple as that. That's how politics work. They're not asking for money. They're not asking for build a stadium, a boondoggle. They're not asking you for a new whatever. They're just asking you for the right to celebrate Diwali. For the kids to still, so they don't get bad grades, they don't get, targeted, they don't get failing grades, bad attendance, and all these things that come with it. That's what they want. And they want to stay home and clean the house and celebrate Diwali and have a good time down there and tell them that. People do that for Christmas, people do that for Lunar New Year, people do that for Eid twice. And that's right, we're not taking it from somebody else who said, what about it? I think you can. What if you ask them for swap and holiday?
Right.
You really made me laugh there.
I did
Because that ain't gonna happen. Nobody gives up ground. Nobody, no matter what you do. Nobody gives up ground and says, we fight for real. You know what one guy told me? When I told him to support you all, he's Muslim, he said, we fight 15 years, for this holiday.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not asking you to give up. I'm asking you to join us in this fight because you're from a different faith. And when you join your Hindu community, and us as Indo-Caribbean and so forth, you're joining and making us stronger because you're from different, you're from a different background. And he took my point, and then he said, okay, I'm going to come and join you guys. So the issue is that we have to get everybody together on one page, as Rusat was saying. From all over the community, whether they're Hindus or not, it's a triumph of good, the light over darkness. That take out this light, Rusat, behind you. When you take off that light, you will still have this light.
Right.
You would have the light at least to show us something. And this is what Diwali stands for. So if you have 100 of these, this light will be just as bright. So at least in some symbol we can show that you know, Diwali is so symbolic of its universal message. And we've always celebrated Diwali. We'll continue to do so in America because we said about the constitutional rights, a fundamental right to religious freedom. And that is what Mr. Rajkumar is not addressing. The mayor didn't go to law school. He's not a legally trained mind to know you're contravening a fundamental right. You're trampling it. You always talk about people being shot, black and brown people. But you're doing the same thing to Hindus in a sophisticated way of depriving them of their holiday in a systematic racism and deprivation also, Mr. Mayor. That is why his eyes going to open up, and that is the message you give to him. This is how you hear these politicians. So you got to be able to, you can't just be Miss Goody all the time or Mr. Good Boy. Sometimes you've got to be able to advocate strongly and strenuously on an issue. And that is why, you know, you have forceful advocates. And she needs to up her game.
I was just to say that, you know, when we talk about our essential rights and freedoms, or if you look at the first one, we have our freedom of religion, and most importantly, we also have our in addition to freedom of religion, you have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to redress grievances and petition your government. Us as Guyanese Americans need to make sure we use all of those
All
rights.
of them, correct.
Not just one, not just two, all of them. Now, one of the reasons we may be taken for granted is because we often use our free speech against each other rather than against those who are really holding us back, right? We're quick to not mince words when it comes to taking each other down within this community. As I said, crabs in a barrel. But then we hold back. Oh no, we shouldn't really say anything about the mayor. No, we shouldn't say anything about the mayor. No, look, you have the right as an American to criticize your government. You have the right as an American when your government is not fulfilling its duty or its promise, as this city government has failed to do in terms of fulfilling the mayor's promise that he made on the campaign trail. And we need to keep calling it out. We can't have it that, we call out each other in the community, but we don't call out the ones who lie to us to our face, say one thing and do another.
And in closing, let me make this appeal to the mayor, who I've known for many years. Mr. Mayor, in 2006, when I ran for the state senate, and the state senate wanted to be the majority since 1965. For the first time, Democrats would have held the state senate majority since 1965. I was the one who helped the Dabo to give them that threshold. They later blew the majority leadership by having and fighting. But it was Albert Baldeo who, on behalf of his community, stood up and gave you, Mayor Adams, the head or the chair of a committee and part of the state senate leadership, and Senators John Sampson and Senators Malcolm Smith. Right here in this very same office, all of those transactions, political transactional stuff took place, where we were overlooked, where we were stolen from, where we were deprived, Mr. Mayor. And time has come that full circle, where you should continue to help us and stop this nonsense now, because it is going on for too long. In 2006, you deprived us then, but in 2023, last year you made that promise, you're not going to deprive us again now, because there are consequences to that. There are political consequences to that. And you've got to understand that you now have to accept what this community have done for you. What Albert Baldeo did for you in 2006 to help you to get a state senate majority and a member there. You were never there. The Republicans always had a state senate. And then you also got votes from this community that pushed you past the finish line to make it, or there would have been another mayor. And these are all things, the chits that you've built, and like Martin Luther King said, we have come to cash that check. And you promised us that check. And it's not even a check, it's a proclamation. It's not money. All you got to do is sign the proclamation. And this is my words to you as the district leader of Queens, Albert Baldeo, who's worked with you and know you, that you should deliver. And the time will come when people are going to ask you publicly, why did you betray the Hindu community and depriving them of Diwali? Why did you betray the Indo-Guyanese and the Indo-Caribbeans and the Sikhs and the Bangladeshi and the Fiji and all these folks, Sudanese and everybody else? Why did you deprive them? And how do you expect to get our vote in the next election? So this is all I'm going to tell you, Mr. Mayor. We'll leave it there now. I guess everybody want to go now. We've had a good, we want to end off on that note.
I want to say a word.
Oh, and I'll let my brother here have the last word.
let me hold this light. Diwali is a festival of light. I know why the mayor has been hidden in the dark, because he has not seen the light and he has not been approving of our concerns. We are here to let him into the light so that our community can see the light and don't remain in any darkness behind the new mayor's face. Thank you. God bless all of us.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you to the audience. We appreciate it. We have several other of these. As Mr. Rampersad, look at the show, save it, and look at it again, and all over. And you're still taping, right? Right. So what we'll do is this. We should try, and I know you said you're going to write a letter to the Assemblywoman, Jennifer Rajkumar. Like I said, I invited her to this meeting. I called her, I left a message, I emailed her. I emailed mutual friends. I didn't see her show up. But you should have at least a town hall where those other folks and anybody else can be there to learn and understand, with our input, what is it that we can do to help to make this working together to help it become a reality. And we're willing to stand with you here. We'll make the trip first City Hall, and I don't know when is the next trip to Albany, but I don't think that we should let it rest there when Ms. Rajkumar, I hope you do not think that the issue is closed. Because the longer you keep this issue open, the longer you do not address this issue, the more you draft competing bills with other things like this and pandering to other groups, the more you're going to throw a very dark light. You are going to actually eradicate the light of Diwali. You will extinguish that light. And that's my simple message to you, that unless you want to keep this light burning, and us with you, you too are up for election soon. You've got to deliver on this. This is your baby now. And you've got to take care of that baby and the mayor, you both own it right now. Thank you very much. Don't bring it back for me. I'll put it.
I want the guy to finish.
You want the flag? Yeah. No, not the bag. Whatever.